Okay. Uh, Adam, please raise your hand and I can onboard you on the stage.
Hello.
Hey.
Hello. Thanks for joining.
Thank you for having me.
Yeah, cool. I believe it's early morning, yeah?
11 a.m.
Oh, not so early. Okay, because it's in Europe it's 5 p.m. Basically tea time. Let's wait a couple minutes, please, and we can start Fuji Educates, episode 6. Hey, Bayan. Hey, guys. So I believe we should start, and then community will join us later. And let's give a warm welcome to Adam Bavosa from Compound Finance. And today we will discuss a lot of interesting topics, maybe some retrospective to Compound and some current state of development, maybe some alpha. Hey, Adam, welcome on board.
Hi, thank you for having me.
Okay, cool. So basically, I believe that you know Shark, obviously, our business developer lead, and
Hello. What's going on?
okay, so Dakota, co-founder of Fuji Finance. Hey, Daigara.
Hey, hello, everybody, and an honor to have you here, Adam.
Okay, and Bayan, also co-founder of Fuji Finance. Hey, Bayan, Bob.
Hey guys, great to have you here, Adam, and all the people listening to this session.
Okay, great. So before we start, just to quick remind, if you guys want to mint special NFT after this Fuji Educates session, don't forget to do screenshot during community call. Then I will open Google form, and probably next week we will open this mint. So Adam, please, let's talk about yourself a little bit, your experience in crypto overall and decentralized finance particularly. Can I just a little explain?
Okay, sounds good. Hi, everybody. I'm Adam, and I've been a developer for a little while. I've been a programmer since 2009-ish, and I became familiar with crypto in 2016. I started playing around with Ethereum from a developer perspective. I was using Solidity and Truffle and smart contracts, I was looking into creating ERC20 tokens on Ethereum. And that's when I first started paying attention to crypto and realized the power behind smart contract programming. And I was just very interested in it from a developer perspective. So that was my sort of initiation to crypto, 2016, 2017 times. And I began working at Compound Labs in January of 2020. So a short time later after that, I was familiar with Ethereum, and also I had some experience with developer relations. And back at that time, the Compound community was much smaller and the protocol was not yet decentralized. So I met Robert Leshner, the founder of Compound, and we hit it off pretty well. And I started working at Compound in 2020. And basically my job was to create developer resources for everyone in the community. So if you're a developer and you want to build a protocol yourself, or you want to build a decentralized application that uses Compound as decentralized infrastructure, you could use my guides and documentation to start building your own project and use the Compound protocol to your advantage. So I began writing docs and developer guides that are partly on the compound.finance website. So if you go to docs.compound.finance, you'll find the documentation. And if you head over to also the Compound website, you could get a link to the blog as well as the forums. And that is where a lot of my developer guides live. And I also go on to community calls like this one and speak to folks directly, and also help them out with their development projects. I go to hackathons like ETH Denver and also the ETH Global ones as well. And I just help out developers with their projects. So that's what I do in a nutshell.
Wow, cool. So like really crypto OG, really, really cool. So you have been with Compound since the very beginning, and the entire evolution of the money markets took place before your eyes, obviously. And currently, a lot of new types of lending protocols introduced almost every month or every week. What do you find is the most exciting about the direction the industry is going? Maybe what's left to be invented in money market industry?
That's a great question. So I think that what we're witnessing now is very exciting, because we're seeing every kind of traditional financial tool that's out there in the already existing financial world. There's new versions of it being created in the decentralized world, in the Web3 world. So we're starting to see all types of things on the blockchain that we saw in traditional finance initially. And the number of people joining the Web3 world is increasing. Like if you look at some of the charts on, like, say, Masari or DeFi Llama or any of those, like, you'll see the number of wallets on Ethereum and all of the other side EVM chains and Solana and Cosmos, all the big ones. The number of wallets is increasing, and the number of assets is increasing, and the total TVL, just like dollar value of all of those assets, is slowly but surely increasing. So what this means to me is that just the greater world population is starting to slowly move into the Web3 world, the decentralized world, and use these Web3 protocols that are just sort of like another option compared to traditional finance. So you can choose to participate in traditional finance, or you can choose to participate in decentralized finance, or you can choose to participate in both of them or none of them. It's up to you. So I think that creating more options is better for everyone, everyone in the world, including those that create the protocols and those that use the protocols. So having more choices is good, and I'm loving seeing more and more people come in, more and more projects being created. Definitely, we're seeing like there's also copycats of projects. That's totally fine. I think that's a good thing. Having as many options as possible is better than having a single option or no option. So that is generally what I'm very excited about.
Okay, great. So you're like strong supporters of decentralized finance industry and believes that it can gain access to finance, maybe to equality to people around the world, as far as I understand. Yeah.
Yes, exactly. I like the idea that you can use either traditional finance or decentralized finance, or you can use both. I think that it's good to create options and allow people to choose what they want to use. If they don't trust one, they can use the other. These systems can coexist in the world, and it's better for everyone.
Mhm.
Yeah, Bayam,
Yeah.
go.
Yeah, very, very interesting, Adam, your point of view, and how you like the evolution of Web3, how you see it in terms of, do you think of this theory that DeFi will evolve into the like the backbone, the back end of traditional finance in the future, or like it will evolve into like the same targeting, same kind of markets, user experiences, products?
Interesting. So yeah, I think that there will definitely be intertwining of both of these worlds. So you'll see stuff like real world assets on the blockchain, and any kind of financial tools on the blockchain, or you'll also see the other way around. You'll see things like people able to add Bitcoin to their retirement portfolio. So like, IRA options where there's some sort of like fund that holds the Bitcoin. So that's sort of like this intertwining of the decentralized world and also the traditional finance world. But I don't think that they should become like one would be the backbone of another. I think that it's good that they're separate, and it's good that people want to create tools that go across both of those worlds. But I think that it's best when there's two separate and distinct options. So if you like this traditional finance, trusted, old Lindy effect, regulated, and everyone is KYC and all that good stuff, that's great. I think it's definitely a positive option for everybody. And then if you want the decentralized world where there's private keys, you have to manage your own keys, and you have to use protocols where they are permissionless, no one controls them, the rules are automated and oftentimes harsh. I think it's good to have those two options again.
Yeah, cool. So it's not competitors and they can work simultaneously, like in parallel. Like if you want traditional finance, you can go here, or if you want decentralized finance, you can go there. Yeah, really cool.
That's my personal opinion on it and my outlook. I think that both will continue to grow in the future and work together, and it'll be like a harmonious existing options for everybody around the world.
Okay, great. Really honest and cool opinion. But if we can proceed more deep dive into decentralized finance, maybe we should discuss, like, let's start from stable coins, which is backbone for decentralized finance. What do you think about Go by Aave and CRV-USD by Curve protocol? Are they game changers for decentralized finance? And maybe Compound also have any plans to join the stablecoin race?
Yeah, so I am definitely a fan of stablecoins in general. I think it's great to be able to sort of take away some of all the risk of the volatility of assets like Bitcoin. So you can swap your Bitcoins for a stablecoin and sort of like save yourself temporarily from that volatility if you want. So yeah, I'm definitely a fan of stablecoins. I think it's fascinating how Each one has a different mechanism in which it is created. So you can have sort of like a centralized stablecoin like USDC or USDT, where an institution holds assets and mints them on chain for you. And you just sort of have to trust that the assets are actually there, trust the institution. And there's also the decentralized ones like DAI, where you can just take assets on chain. You can create your vault and mint your stable coins completely on your own. And then the liquidation process, of course, is completely autonomous. And there are no rules. There are no phone calls when it's time to get liquidated. It is all harsh and on-chain automated system where you know the risks going in. And if you get liquidated, it's on you. So I do like that there is a varying systems for stablecoins. They're not all precisely the same. I think that would be kind of lame. So having multiple is great. And I like the idea of both the Go stablecoin and also the Curve USD stablecoin because they are automated ones that are on chain. So I'm a fan of decentralized versions more so than centralized versions because I think that centralized versions are already existing and they're already predominant. So like fiat currency, you can use that to buy anything pretty much in the world. And that's sort of like the monopoly they have. But sort of the disruption of that monopoly is decentralized stablecoins. So it's very exciting to see more options in the decentralized stablecoin world. So seeing things like Go and Curve USD come up, definitely very good, very exciting for DeFi community as a whole. I think it's great how the stablecoins can be used inside of their own ecosystems a little bit more smoothly and easily, and how there's sort of like these advancements of more features on top of the existing ones that we've seen. So like sort of we see DAI, we see RAI come up, and people see like, okay, what would be better about this? Okay, let's add a feature like being able to mint the stablecoin with multiple collaterals instead of having single vaults. So I like seeing people innovate on top of new things, new copycats that are just slightly different and better. Again, it makes more options for everybody, which is a net positive. So definitely like to see people in the DeFi community creating more technologies like this.
Okay. And you didn't respond regarding Compound. Does Compound has any plans to join stablecoins like landscape, like issue some stable?
Right. So in case anyone is not familiar, I will mention that back in, I believe it was 2022, the Compound team was working on Gateway, which was at the domain compound.cash, and there was a white paper released that mentioned a stable unit of account called Cash that would be used to create this multi-chain token that would be used sort of just like USDC, and it can be minted on any chain where there's a starport. So we were working on this and ready to bring Gateway to life, and we're building a chain, and it just proved to be too big of a step all at once. So the traditional compound finance markets were like Ethereum based, ERC20 tokens only, and you can earn interest or you could borrow. But adding multi-chain in this one giant step with the stable unit of account was just too much at once to jump. So we decided to pivot away from Gateway and work on Compound 3, which came out in, I believe, October or November last year. So Compound 3 is different from Compound 2 in the fact that it can be deployed to any EVM chain. So there are several EVM chains at the moment that are popular, gaining traction. So the interest rate markets can be deployed on any of those using this version. And of course, to answer your question, Compound 3 does not have any plans for a stable coin inside of it. The vision of Gateway sort of had that included, but too big of a step at once. So maybe we'll return to that project someday, but just not presently. Compound 3 is a lot of work to be done, deployed on Ethereum in two individual markets, a USDC market and a WETH market, however you say it. And we just recently came out, I believe, earlier this month. Time flies. Time is flying. So yeah, at the moment, we're focusing on Compound 3. Perhaps in the future, Gateway will come back to life and we might see that stable unit of account cash, but no plans for that at the moment.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Thanks. I suppose. Yeah. Leaking alpha. Yeah. We try to make you leak some alpha, but yeah, of course, it's great to see Compound V3 being deployed on different chains. And just curious, because with Compound V3, the liquidity, there's possibility for multiple instances on a single chain with different sets of collateral or borrow asset. And curious for the Compound vision, how these instances can let's say talk to each other, like how you envision they can operate between each other.
Right. So if assets are on the same, protocol instances are on the same chain, like on Ethereum, there is WETH and USDC. So say you are a big holder of CB staked ETH, Coinbase staked ETH, you can supply that to the WETH market, and then you can then borrow WETH, and then you could supply that to CUSDC V3, and then use that as collateral to borrow USDC. So you can use like a two-step accounting of your assets into both of the instances. So you can sort of like you could sort of like borrow USDC using your CB staked ETH as collateral, but you would do it like across protocol instances. So in this way, they can work together. And of course, if the community decides to add more collaterals to these instances, then you can sort of like go back and forth if you wanted to, if you needed to, in a pinch. So yeah, protocols are available for that. Interoperability is utilized by projects out there building their own protocols or building their own dApps. So yep, a lot of generic interfaces available.
Mm-hmm. Awesome. Yeah. I guess here is also one niche for Fuji to explore how we can integrate all these markets and allow for the functionality that you just described. But also another topic that might be also in the same realm. You mentioned about this unit of accounting, this cross-chain unit of accounting, I guess for Compound V3, from a cross-chain perspective, do you guys have plans for something, or like as you described your process, like it's step by step and may arrive with another version of Compound down the road?
Yeah, I agree that yes, in the future, if we see that the community is asking for something like that in particular, and we see a possibility for success going down that road, then definitely something that we may pick up. There isn't a specific tool that we're using at the moment for that. It will be interesting to see as more instances of Compound 3 are deployed on other EVM chains, then we'll see this ability to bridge assets using the native bridging mechanism, sort of like with Polygon's bridge. So in case anybody was not aware, Compound 3 is being deployed on Polygon at this current time. It's going to happen very soon. The contracts are being deployed, and there's going to be a governance vote on Ethereum to initialize that through protocol governance, so that there's a voting system on chain. That will be described tomorrow at 9:30 Pacific time in the Compound Developer Community Call, which is in the Compound Discord, if you're interested in that. So once there are multiple instances of Compound 3 on multiple chains, then perhaps bridging assets from one chain to another may become a mechanism into using each of those instances in an interoperated manner. So the community would have to again vote on adding new assets as collateral to each of those instances, and maybe vote on creating more instances with different base assets. So this is definitely something that you can foresee coming in the coming weeks, months, year time horizon as more instances of Compound 3 come out on more chains. So we're still early.
Great, thank you. Yeah, actually, this is something that we were thinking, and is part of our plans to allow for different compound instances to talk to each other cross-chain. So yeah, we'll be really happy if we can contribute to these efforts to see if such a feature could be of interest for the compound community. But great to see that options.
Right. So building the smart contracts is one difficult step there, but creating the user interfaces so people can use like a cross-chain system all in one on one screen, that's another half of the battle. So I think that both of those can be worked on in like a synchronous manner. So yeah, definitely very fun options ahead for community developers to work on.
So, Daigar, I think you have some question, yeah?
Yeah. It's a side question just based on what you say, Adam. I'm curious to know, for example, the execution of the decision, for example, to deploy Polygon or activate the Polygon instance. Is that done cross-chain, or would there be like a sub-governance, a governor contract on Polygon to kind of execute this?
That is a great question. So this was described to me on Friday of last week. So the developers working on that have designed a system that uses cross-chain message passing. So there is like a second time lock on other chains. So the governance proposal will initialize on Ethereum. It will be sent to the Ethereum time lock. And then after the proposal executes on Ethereum, there's a message passed to the sidechain like Polygon. And then once that message is executed on Polygon, there's a time lock on Polygon of another day. So a governance process will take about 7 days on Ethereum, and then other chains will take another day or so. So like 8-ish days total. And then the time lock on Polygon will execute its wrapped up message from Ethereum and call the Comet factory contract for any Polygon instance that is specified in the proposal, and it will execute that proposal. So a little bit complicated of a system. I do not have the details nailed down very well just yet. So if you want to hear more, 9:30 a.m. Pacific time tomorrow in the Compound Discord, Scott and Kevin of Compound will describe the Solidity contracts that they developed.
No, actually, you describe it pretty well, and it makes sense the way you describe it. Really curious to see how it all works. But good job, guys.
Yep, join us tomorrow.
Cool. Really curious. Me personally, regarding code licensing, because for example, we all know that in a couple months, Uniswap V3 license will expire, and some rumors in the market that it will be a lot of forks of Uni V3. What do you think about code licensing in decentralized finance? Does it make any sense, or like maybe it's like you can create some fork of Compound, Aave, Uniswap, and do everything you want?
I think that these protocols are open source for the reason of transparency, not so much the reason of forkability. So when it comes to forking a protocol, you can't simply copy and paste because there are tremendous amounts of risks involved with deploying a protocol, and very intricate knowledge is required. So Solidity engineers will spend years writing the protocol, and they'll have auditors audit it in both a code security and economic audit perspective. So there's a tremendous amount of risk analysis that is done, a lot of thinking, years of work, and creating a protocol is extremely risky. There's a chance that contracts will get hacked and drained, and users will be very upset. So simply forking a chain and adding whatever assets you want, simply forking a protocol and adding whatever assets you want can be dangerous if you don't deeply and intimately understand how the code works. So I think that it is extremely risky to fork a protocol. Extremely talented team that could measure all of the risks involved. So I think that having the code transparent is good, so users know exactly what is going to happen when they use this protocol. There are no hidden rules, hidden fees, there's no trust involved. All you need to do is look at the source code for yourself. So I think that having the source code is good as a reference, not as something to fork, because it is dangerous. So like we've seen with compound forks like Cream Finance, they've gotten creamed many times, unfortunately, because the deployers of that protocol did not understand the risks and added assets that had issues with that specific source code. They did not patch it. They did not do adequate risk analysis of adding those assets. So people got burned at the end of the day, and it was very unfortunate to see, and I don't want that to happen. But this is part of the world that we live in when code bases can be forked. So yeah, those are some of my thoughts on that.
Okay. Actually, it was like next question regarding vulnerability of forks. So basically, you answer this really precisely, and I have the same like opinions. You should be really smart enough, not just copycat, but understand what they're working for. So it's like really dangerous for users. And me personally, as DeFi degen, I often don't understand users why they aped into the forks and waiting for that fork will be successful. For example, last 6 months, it's solidly forks, AMM designed by André Cronier, and a lot of forks on different chains, and users aped into it and even doesn't understand how it works and how it's safe to provide liquidity or like give money to this protocol. It's really strange for me, even for DeFi degen like me.
Right. It is easier to risk, say, like a small amount of your assets than to scour the source code with your eyes for many hours and think really hard about the risks. So, of course, people are willing to take that risk.
Yeah. Okay, really interesting. And let's talk about users, compound users, because it looks like most for whale or big institutionals, what it's like a compound user base. Because obviously that you have interest rates, maybe not so interesting for small retail users, or what do you think about it? Maybe it's like some niche specifically for compound to our directly working with big money, or it can be some possibilities even for small retail users?
I think that protocols like Compound are good for everyone. It's not just for end users. It's not just for institutions. It's not just for big money, but it is for everyone. Everyone with a internet connection. So if you have simply a smartphone that has access to the internet, you can use TCP and access blockchains like Ethereum. Then this is sort of like the hidden power of DeFi. Anybody in the world with an internet connection can use it. So if you live in a country with an unstable fiat currency, that is the official currency, you can use blockchains and DeFi protocols instead of that traditional financial system. So I think that the protocols are definitely, they're good for everyone. They should be used by everybody or not. If you don't want to take that risk, you don't have to. There's definitely risk involved. So I think that having options is good. And we're also still very early. So say the gas fees are too large for you to earn interest in a very quick manner. So you expect like to earn, you want to earn like 4% like you would in like a traditional financial like instrument, like a treasury bill or something like that. You can't like earn that much on chain. You would like if you had a very small amount of assets. So say like you put $25 into a DeFi protocol and you want to earn 4%, but you spent $50 on gas just to get that $25 into the protocol. That would be unfortunate. So of course, my answer to that is that we are early. These chains are definitely still in this archaic mode where the gas fees are really large and they're not necessarily economically sound. So I think that as more time goes on, there are more side chains created and more options, and people think about all of the economic problems that are involved with like gas fees and stuff like that, that this problem will definitely be solved. So the issue is that we're still early. We're still flying these early planes that are clunky and not safe. So it'll be a while until we have those beautiful commercial airliners that get you in first class from one side of the country to the other in just a few hours. So that's like my metaphor of DeFi and planes being created. So yeah, we're definitely still early. In the future, then DeFi will be able to be used by everyone for a very fair amount of things like fees and interest rates being better to utilize.
Okay, great. Absolutely obvious. And so basically, I think I don't have questions. So please, team members, let's begin with you guys and then proceed to community questions.
Yeah, I have a question that I wanted to ask about Compound V3 and the rationale to disable the interest accruing on the collateral. Can you say more about it?
Right. So you're referring to assets that had the potential to be manipulated, like in the Mango Markets attack.
No. I'm referring to like in Compound V2, you deposit your collateral, and you borrow. And for the collateral, you're accruing some interest, and paying interest on the borrow asset. While in Compound V3, if I deposit in WBTC or WETH, I'm not going to, it won't accrue interest I'm not going to accrue interest for this asset.
Yes, that is correct. So one of the key differences between Compound V2 and Compound V3 is that in Compound V2, any asset that is supplied to the protocol, you earn interest. And in Compound V3, the collateral assets do not earn interest. They are simply collateral to be used to borrow the base asset. So the protocols are different in this where the risks are separated. There's only one borrowable asset per deployed instance of Compound 3. So if you want to earn interest on a specific asset, you have to supply only the base asset to that instance of the protocol. So for Compound v3, the only assets you can earn interest on are WETH and USDC, because there is a deployment, 2 deployments for each of those. And at the moment, there are no plans to create interest earning for collaterals in Compound v3. The mechanism would have to be that those that supply would have to earn interest through those that borrow and repay their borrows. So the way that the protocol is designed is not for that means. So having Compound v2 and v3 as harmoniously functioning protocols is a good thing. The use case is slightly different. So if you want to earn interest on any asset, you can use Compound v2. If you want to earn interest simply on the base asset, you can use Compound v3. Compound v2 is not deprecated. There is no deprecation schedule. It is not going anywhere. Lots and lots of assets are in there. People like using it. So yeah, that's some details on that.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, got it. Thank you. And yeah, just what was the intuition, or what was the reason for this decision to in the product design for architectural design for v3? Was it based on some user feedback or on some data that you collected and interpreted in some way?
Yeah, great question. So we don't really collect much data at all. We can see what is public on the blockchain.
On-chain data,
So,
yeah, I mean
right.
on-chain data. Sure.
Yes, of course. So I just wanted to preface this with that. Yes, using on-chain data, we could see that the main use case in Compound v2 was for an account to supply a volatility priced asset like WBTC or Ether, and then they would borrow a stable asset like USDC or DAI. So seeing this use case as the predominant use case was the inspiration for making this the central architecture choice for Compound v3. So we wanted to make a protocol that could streamline this use case as best as we could, make it a little bit more capital efficient, more gas efficient, and also safer. So those are the key improvements of Compound v3. The number of parameters that can be adjusted through governance is limited. Code changes to the protocol are limited. And adding of collateral assets and additional risk is also restricted further. So in this way, Compound v3 is streamlined for that main use case. It's more gas efficient and more capital efficient and safer.
Mm-hmm. Got it. Okay, great. Thank you.
Yeah, and what I would add, and I think is something great that Compound v3 introduced, was that you allow some functions to be done on behalf of users. So I think this was a limitation for integrations in Compound v2. But in Compound v3, I think you guys consider this, and it's a huge win for projects building on top of you.
Yes, absolutely. That is another feature that was requested often in Compound v2 world. So yes, there's a complete set of management functions in Compound v3 such that you can allow a different Ethereum account, being an EOA or a smart contract, to manage your position on your behalf. Great for community developers to build new cool stuff.
So I have another question. I guess whenever we're talking about, I guess, like money market or pretty much like anything in DeFi, I think one of the big things or topics that a lot of people have been trying to hit on, especially over the last, I would say probably the last 2 years, since a lot of the core pieces of infrastructure for DeFi have been kind of invented, is focusing more towards capital efficiency. I know we saw that with like Uniswap evolving from like Uniswap v2 to v3, and I know Compound is looking to do that as well with your new release. I guess after that, like after we see improvements to capital efficiency, like where do you see a lot of these like DeFi protocols looking to begin to innovate and like introduce new like functionalities around like their actual protocols?
Right. So with Compound V3, the increases there in efficiency were specifically around the amount that can be borrowed with the same amount of collateral. So in Compound V2, most of the collateral factors are exactly the same in V3 for specific assets. So like if you provide Ether as a supplied asset, in Compound V2, you could borrow up to 65% of that value as a different token. And if you borrowed the maximum amount, say you borrowed 65% of the value as USDC, you would get liquidated in the next block. So a lot of users mistakenly did this and got liquidated instantly and were very upset. So in Compound V3, there is a more efficient mechanism for this. So the collateral factors are the same, so you can borrow the same amount. However, their liquidation point is separated from the collateral factors. So you can borrow, say, 65% of the value as a different asset, but you won't get liquidated until your borrow balance is at 75% of that collateral asset value. So you can borrow the maximum amount, and then many blocks can pass in between you repaying that borrow or adding more collateral, and you won't get liquidated. So it is safer for the borrower, and it is more capital efficient for the borrower, and it keeps the protocol safe and does not have as rapid liquidations. The liquidations, however, are still harsh and still automated, and the protocol is still safe in the same way. So yeah, that's a little bit on the capital efficiency, and I think that one of the reasons that's enabled is having the single borrowable asset like we have with Compound V3. So this makes it safer for everyone. The risk is not stacked as high. So I think that in the future, we'll see people building new protocols that are safer because they have less stacked risk. So I think that making simple business rules in the code is something that should be strived for. And we'll see simpler and simpler protocols just because there's less stacked risk involved. So I think that that's what we'll see in the future, simpler.
Got it. Awesome. I appreciate the response.
Okay, cool. So Bayan, Daigar, Shark, if you don't have any questions, I can check community questions in AMH channel.
Sure. Go ahead.
Fire away.
Okay. So first question. Back to 2020, Compound successfully did liquidity mining program. Do you think liquidity mining can be effective now, or protocols must invent something to gain new users?
Right. So I think that new mechanisms to gain user trust and users in general to use the protocols, I think that if you're coming up with new stuff, that's better. Innovating is always better. Copying is not as good. So I'm not sure how efficient that is for gaining new users nowadays. I don't really pay attention to it myself. But yeah, I think that inventing new things is good, and developers should think very, very hard about what we see presently and what the future could look like if we made subtle changes and progressive changes. So I think that liquidity mining is something that was fun and of the past, but it's time for new things, and it's time for protocol developers to think about how they can bring users to the protocol without having a great protocol. Like you can't like just create this thing where people are getting this sort of interest that is based on hype and not on having a protocol that actually works underneath and has a good use case for everyone. So definitely inventing new mechanisms is better.
Okay, pretty clear. So next question, really good one by Rolly, and really simple. What the most important part in the modern DeFi protocol security, and how to create a DeFi protocol that would never ever be hacked or compromised somehow?
That is impossible because we do not know what we do not know. So if there's a vulnerability that is hidden and nobody knows about it, then it can't be protected against. So I think it's best to get auditors to audit your protocol, audit multiple times, multiple sets of eyes looking at the code. Economic audits as well, in addition to security audits, are good. And also formal verification is another layer of protection. So there is no impenetrable precautions that you can take when deploying your protocol. You can just try your best to understand the code, audit it, and continually analyze risks and make bug bounties available to users so they're incentivized to fix the issue and not exploit the issue.
Okay, and also me personally, like in Fuji team, I believe have really good opinions that hackers competition like Heads Finance or Code for Arena really can be effective way to prove strength of your code. And for example, currently we are running competition on Heads Finance, and I believe it's also really good thing to try your code, to try your product. Yeah, what do you think?
Yeah, I agree as well. And I think that this is one of those things where a few years ago it didn't really exist, and more developers are joining. And as more and more people are putting their eyes on the code and learning to do security analysis, that makes the pool of developers building protocols even stronger. So in the future, protocols become safer and safer as more and more developers are more and more informed on the topics. So I think it's a positive for the whole community and ecosystem, and definitely support it myself.
Okay, great. And next question from community. Patrick Hellman, Director of Strategy at Binance, said that poor regulation could lead to increased volatility in the cryptocurrency market. What do you think about this opinion? Not sure.
I think it's great that everyone has an opinion. I don't really have an opinion on that in particular.
Okay. Thanks for your response. And I don't see any questions. So just want to remind our community do screenshot, and I will open the form after this call. And basically, if guys, Daigaro, Bayan, Shark, if you don't have any questions, I believe that Adam answered like pretty fair, pretty good, like explains all nuances.
Yeah, it was great episode. Thanks, Adam, for joining us. And yeah, thanks again to the whole community for participating at this call.
Thank you for having me. And again, if you want to learn more about Compound 3, you can join us for our developer community call tomorrow at 9:30 a.m. in the Compound Discord. And we have developers there discussing ideas as well.
Yeah,
Awesome.
yeah.
Probably join you on that.
Glad to hear that.
Okay, Adam, thanks for your time. It was really cool, really interesting, and thanks that you have this hour with us, and wish you good luck. And actually, Compound community call already in Fuji's team calendar. So basically, we will join it tomorrow.
That's great. Thank you again.
Yeah, thank you, and thank you to our community. And like, have a nice evening or day or morning. I don't know. Anyway, thank you guys, and see you and bye.
See you later.